Mr. Madden, will you lead us in a word of prayer, and then we'll have our.
I will.
Get
I
this
will.
call to order.
Thank you for the opportunity. Let's pray. Gracious God, I thank you for another glorious day. I thank you for this Tuesday and the fact that we are coming toward the end of another school year. Oh Lord, I'm excited for the great works that these kids who are going through testing this week. Bless them and watch over them. And bless the nerves of those teachers as they do those required mandates for all that they have to do for it. A lot of nerves, I know, but Lord, you're in that too. Oh God, I pray that you bless this meeting tonight. Bless all of us in attendance. And let us continue to follow the path you call on our hearts to go. In your loving name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order, and at this time, let the minutes reflect that everyone is present here, and Miss Rita Carter is present by phone. And I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Ms. Mays and Mr. Madden, all in favor? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the TAD resolution. We received some new information at our retreat, and it had been mentioned that we might want to open some of that up for discussion, or there may be some questions, or just further the discussion on that right now. I don't personally have any new information other than what's on the email, but if anybody has anything they do want to share at this time, we'll open the floor for discussion on that.
I did talk to Matt Denton about this, and he said that the county, he said that even though they had some that were for it, he said they did not have a majority and that they would not be bringing it up anymore, that they were done with it, and they were not going to be part of it.
I have researched a little bit more, and I've talked specifically to representatives from the city of Cedartown just as early as late as this afternoon. They have put in a deadline of a week from yesterday to come in and have the developer and them come together with a plan. And just a little while ago, I was even receiving word that Tyler has reached out and now has a plan to propose to everyone who wants to continue to participate, wants to give it this week. So that's been shared. I'm tired of this. There's a lot of us who are. And so, but we're in it. I don't want to be the one who comes in and says we need to kill it tonight, but I definitely want to give it this one more week and see if we can come in and have a situation. If we got something worth approving and finalizing, then let's see. And that's kind of how I feel about it.
So that would be May, that's our next meeting,
May 5th.
May 5th. Okay. Okay.
I think on the whole thing, what we approved as a resolution no longer exists, right? Because that was, under that resolution, it was school board, county, everybody coming together on this one tab. And right now, the county is out on that. So right now, if we continue with the same resolution, we're in it at 100% for whatever they come up with on turn on. Because the resolution doesn't specify terms, it says your full increment, right? I think that resolution needs to be done away with. Now, if somebody wants to come back, when they come back with a different plan, with a different resolution, you know, we can look at that. But as we sit currently, we're on the hook for the whole shebang should they move forward. And I think we need to dissolve that resolution. And like I said, if they want to come back with a different plan, different resolution down the road, okay, we'll talk about that then. But right now, I think in our best interest is to is to dissolve that resolution and move forward.
What is the, could someone share with us specifically what we approved in January, the wording, if anybody would like to share that?
The wording that I've got a draft of it here that, and I think I've circulated this to y'all.
Yeah.
What we agreed to, or what I'm reading the fifth preamble paragraph. Polk School District Board of Education desires to consent to the inclusion of the school district's tax allocation increment. And then section 1 of the resolution, Board of Education hereby agrees to include the school district's tax allocation increment in the tax allocation amount, which is what Mr. Hawkins was talking about. I think I talked about this at the last meeting. That means that, whatever the amount above the base amount of taxes that the Polk School District would receive on the properties in the TAD would go toward the debt on the project. One thing and of course I've given y'all kind of a couple options. One of them, of course, is to rescind the resolution in its entirety, if you want to do that. Another option would be to adopt a new resolution that says that the Polk School District is consenting to the inclusion of a portion of the school district's tax allocation increment to be negotiated with the other participants, or something of that effect. That sort of leaves it open-ended to where you can negotiate with the developer, the city, whoever else is involved in it, and say, okay, we're not agreeing to the whole thing, but we're agreeing to 50%. I'm not suggesting a number. I'm just throwing a number out there to X number of percent of whatever the tax allocation increment would be. That's another option that you would have.
I would lean also toward rescinding or dissolving that agreement, just based off of the fact that I think it did state that the county was part of that agreement. I think it said in there,
Is the county's name mentioned in
I
that?
think it was, as the entities involved, it included the county.
It did in all the materials that we saw as projections and all that stuff, you're right. But what I'm saying is, I think what all they're saying, I thought, in my understanding, is that all we put in is that we would agree to be put in what would be the part of the calculation, which would be the tax increment. We didn't say $1 or anything like that specific. It would just be to say for that tax calculation, which would be our increment of the tax calculation.
And I might be wrong, but I don't see county.
The county
is not in the
they're not
agreement
mentioned
that
in
we
this
are.
resolution.
So now, when we were asking, and I was asking some questions of Edward, who answered all the questions, and we talked about this being a non-binding agreement, that Edward did say, and I think the next step would be negotiations, which
Correct.
we're also hearing from the developer that they've said there's not really any negotiations to be had, which concerns me, that and he also stated that if it didn't move forward in the way that it was implemented, we had an option to change our mind, part of that being if the county did not elect to move forward with it, which I think is the case at this point. I don't know that we could say one way or the other. They're just not taking it up for any kind of vote, which I think is a way to say we're not involved. My concern would be, like Jeff said, if now they keep it at 8.5 million, you've got one less entity or source of revenue that's gonna pay that bond back. Will it impact the interest rate? Will it impact the term of the bond? And are we taking off way more responsibility by doing that? And the way I thought it was worded was you had the city, the developer, the school system, and the county in that proposal. And that in that agreement, that was what was agreed. And I think he specifically stated if one of the parties dropped out, then you could come back and renegotiate. I do have concerns that as of right now, we're all in on whatever other parties decide they want to move forward with the developer in the city of Cedartown. We've pretty much said we're in at 100% of whatever based off of that agreement.
Now, that's not my understanding.
Well, the developer down there, that day that me and Jeff and Drew went, he was specifically asked, they asked him, said, now what is the next phase of this as far as negotiation? And he said, there's not any negotiation. He said, this is it. You either vote for it or you vote against it.
And if they're coming forward with a new plan, then there would have to be time for negotiation, because the charts they gave us included the county's part, our part, and the city's part. And if somebody's taking up more of that, or that's changing, then that's when I understand that we would be at the table to do our discussion of what we felt
That's my
comfortable for as a board to do.
Like Mark just said, at that meeting, that specific question was asked to the developer. And I think John had asked it, or Michael, I can't remember which one. I think it was Michael had asked that question, and the developer said, no, there is no negotiation. The negotiation was when you signed that document, whatever your entire increment is what it was. I mean, that was directly from the developer's mouth.
Because I think Mr. Gravitt, he did ask, he said, will there be negotiation on percentage
Can we
of
do half of our
increment?
tax increment, or
And-
3/4? And
The developer, I'll be honest, he looked kind of dumbfounded as that was news to him, is the way I kind of took it was. And then he said, there's no further negotiation. I don't know what there is to negotiate, which,
I think at the end of the day, we're signed on right now to a plan that no longer exists. And I'm afraid if we stay with that plan that no longer exists, then they can do whatever, and we're stuck with the end results of it. I mean, if they come back at $20 million, we've signed on for $20
But
million.
now Rob has said what we signed is not legally binding. So at this point, we're not legally bound to do anything.
And
So-
we're not on the hook for paying any
Any
money
money.
back to anybody.
No, yeah, we just don't get the money coming
Right.
in, right?
But we're not, we still hadn't signed for that either.
Yeah,
This
the
is-
whole legally binded thing, I don't understand how a company's gonna break ground. They wanna break ground by June, was that?
June 30th.
And that's when they would
How
want
they
us
gonna
our
break
signature on
break
something
ground
else.
if that document's not legally
Right,
binding?
if we hadn't signed by then, we wouldn't be part of it.
Yeah.
but
If we
what
haven't signed on the document to begin the project,
are we signing when, Rob, you mentioned it's not binding. But at some point, it becomes binding because they're using that as a tool for financing and to cover the bond.
Yeah, they haven't asked us to sign anything else. The resolution is the only thing that they've asked us to sign. So, and I guess if there's and I'm not taking a position one way or the other. Again, I've said before, I'll say it again, our firm represents the city, so I don't want there to be just full disclosure on that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're concerned about the ability to negotiate or concerned about the amount of the school district's tax allocation, then you can adopt a new resolution that says, leave it open-ended if you want to. You know, a portion of the allocation amount or increment amount to be negotiated at a future date with the participants in the TAD, or something to that effect. You're still in it, but you leave it open-ended for additional negotiations for however much the school district's portion is gonna go toward the debt.
so would that mean us editing, or you editing this document and
Right, and
sending it
I
back
was-
to the city?
Well, I mean, we can adopt it, I mean, you could adopt it tonight if you've got, a motion and a second and a majority vote, with the understanding that I would make that change. And the changes that I would make would just be where I just read. It would be in the fifth preamble paragraph, and then in section 1, I would just include the language of the inclusion of a portion of the school district's tax allocation increment, comma, to be negotiated with the other participants. Same thing in those sections. So it'd be a new resolution, but just, again, open-ended to leave the amount to be determined.
And on that, so I don't understand, number one, so I guess the city is reaching out to you and talking to you about the new plan coming up, right? So if there's gonna be a new proposal, I've never been in a business deal where we go ahead and sign on to something and wait to see what the new proposal's gonna be. I mean, I think that just doesn't make good common sense, at all to do that. So, I mean, right now, this resolution that we signed, that whole terms and everything that they discussed, they came here to discuss, they had to meet the city discuss, they had meetings at the county discuss, that no longer exists, right? So I think it's in our best interest financially for the next 25 years, if we get out of that resolution, wait till they come back with a new plan and go from there. We shouldn't be signing on to something when we don't even know what the new plan is.
Well, and I'll reiterate, what's been shared with me is they have a week to get a plan to us. Okay? I will be the second on the motion to rescind. Okay? If we just give them a week. And we go sit in, supposedly they got a new plan, the developer has said late today, let's go see it, let's see it.
Well, correct. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanna see it, but I don't think we need to see it with the current, right now, we have no negotiating tools whatsoever. We're in at 100% of our allocations coming forward.
But if we're gonna see it by our next meeting, then it could be added to our consent agenda to make a decision one way or the other to either keep this, accept a new one, or totally be
I think
done
that-
with it.
I think
I think that's a good idea. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jeff, but I guess yes, you could do that, and then, we could put some other wording in the resolution. We could put a portion of the increment, and then add some other language that sort of incorporates the most recent proposals that they've made, assuming that those proposals are, sort of incorporate those into the resolution, so that's what it's based on. So, I mean, that would seem to make sense to me, that you kind of, you wait and see what the final deal is, and then you decide whether or not you're in.
And that's what I'm saying, let's do away with the resolution that we have right now. Just do away with it, let them come with their plan, and then we decide what we want in the new resolution. I mean, that just makes common sense to me. I mean, we're talking about doing away with this resolution and doing another resolution tonight, and we don't even know what the plan is gonna be.
Well, I think what Rob too was reporting on that second thing he was saying tonight, is it gives that flexibility stating that you're kind of saying for dollars and anything like that, you could put in.
Yes, but
So we don't
we can
have
give
that.
away all,
That's not in there.
we're making a deal on, we don't even know what the deal is yet until next week. But right now, we know what the deal is. We're at 100% of the increment right now, no matter what it is. And that needs to go away, because we don't need to be financially on that ledge right now. Right now, when they come back with another plan, then we can look at a new resolution if we want to add the things that Rob just put in there. To me, it just makes sense to do it that way. Maybe I'm missing something.
In the resolution, did it state anything as far as negotiating the terms, or did it just, I mean, I understand it said we're committing to the full increment increase.
That's correct.
Right. That
And-
is what,
and
it
to
doesn't say
me-
a percentage, it doesn't say a dollar, it says the increment increase.
From the base year.
Which is full.
From,
Which is,
right,
there's got to be so
you're still getting the
something
base.
binding to that agreement, or maybe we should have worded it that it definitely included some sort of negotiation before we approved it. And I'm like Jeff, I'd rather negotiate from a better position of strength, that the developer and the city of Cedartown come to us out, here are the new circumstances, here are the new players, here's potentially the interest rates and the term of the bond. And if there are still a majority of folks on the board that want to move forward at that point, obviously the votes would be there starting from a clean slate versus trying to I just feel like we agreed to something without a lot of answers. And at that meeting with the city, I think that was probably some of the county commissioners' concerns were some of the questions they've had. Have we had anybody doing any negotiations with the city as far as the terms are back and
Well,
forth? I
until
don't know.
they have a plan,
Until
we
there's
can't
one, we hadn't had a
negotiate.
chance to negotiate anything because we hadn't been proposed
Plan.
anything in solid. Now we've got this in place.
But I do know the county, I know Mr. Denton had been back and forth on numerous occasions with lots of questions for the developer. And part of the reason that they have elected, and this is just what I have been told by him and some of the county commissioners, that they elected not to move forward with it because they just weren't comfortable with the answers they were getting or the unknowns that were out there. And I don't know that we as a school system have had anybody who has been advocating for us in this as far as talks, discussions with any of those other parties. And that kind of bothers me, that we haven't had that. And you've probably been in discussion like the rest of us, but I think it would be better for us to have Mr. Lumpkin, our board chair, Dr. Renshaw, to have somebody that has been involved stating, where's this thing going? What are we doing? We've kind of said, hey, we're all in, and sat back and waiting on other people to decide what the end results were gonna be. And then come back, and I just think that's a poor way to negotiate and look out for our benefit.
But again, I do ask the question, and just help me if I'm wrong, okay? We decide we don't like what we're being told by the city, we can rescind our motion next week if we wanted to. And we're all good if we decide to, correct?
Okay, so you're talking about either, I guess there are a couple of options. You're talking about either voting to rescind it tonight potentially and pending.
Next week, what I'm saying, next week.
You're talking about next week.
I'm talking about next week.
Once you get the answers once you get
Yeah,
answers.
I mean, because technically we hadn't had a plan adopted, because the county never adopted the resolution that we adopted, okay? And there was hope they were gonna adopt it. And then subsequently, then you get to the final terms of what the deal would be when we all got in the room at that point to figure it out, who was gonna participate at what level. That was always my understanding, okay? That's what I was told.
That's probably why there's no percentages here.
According to that developer, that there was not gonna be a second negotiation. I mean, I heard him say it out of his mouth. I mean, it was either you vote yes all in or you vote no on it.
And that,
When they present it to us, and if it's not what we can do as a district, then we will vote no, and we will not be part of the
So
final
you're
paperwork
saying-
that's legal.
That's what I'm saying.
If they bring something that's not what we've had explained to us, we won't sign a document to go
but
into
Rick
the
just
tax.
stated that original terms is no longer because the county.
But if you look at this, they didn't give us terms. They just said the increment. It doesn't say 50%, it doesn't say 60, it doesn't say 100. It says that the amount that we get, we'll get the base amount, and anything above that, we would be given to that. They don't even know what that would be.
Well,
If
and if
taxes
there's no
don't go
bar-
up
and
for
if there's
5
no
years, then they're not getting.
Well, I mean, but again, we're discussing a deal that no longer exists because the county is not involved in it, right? So that deal does not exist anymore.
Not with the county in it.
Not
Right.
with the county in.
So-
And ours doesn't say the county was part of
I understand that, but what it does say though is their plan incorporates the school board and the county and the city, right?
The original
So
plan we
to
saw.
get to the eight
the
or
presentation.
8 point, whatever it was.
Well, originally it was
Yeah, It was
10.9.
10.9 and went to 8.2. To get to that, they had to have all those entities' tax increases, right? If you can word tax increases, we're not paying anybody, we're not losing money, we're losing the amount above what we currently get for the next, ever how many years the bond is, right? So you can word that however you want to, but, so now, if we keep it at the same plan as was original that we approved, if they move forward for it, we're still having to do our increment, which it says in the resolution.
Not from this document, though.
We can rescind
Not
it.
from this document.
We can rescind it.
Well, it says the increment in the
It
document.
says that the chairman or the vice chairman would have to sign to furthermore go on with anything else in this resolution. Somebody's gotta sign something else in the next step.
But
And I
does
would
it-
not do that without this board having
But
a
does it
discussion and agree.
state that has to be approved by the board, or just the chair or the vice chair has the power to do that?
Well,
I
now,
read it.
this resolution's already, this one was already adopted, right? I I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
This one was
This
adopted
one
back
was
in,
adopted.
And
what,
that gave the
January?
authority to sign those documents.
So,
I
yeah,
understand it
this has
moving
already
forward.
been done. You know, the one that I've got in front of me, I think that Judy has in front of her too, is just, those have already been, that's been adopted. So, again, options are, I mean, again, rescind it tonight and then hear what they have, what the developer has to say, and then adopt a new one, or not adopt a new one next Tuesday, or wait and see what the developer has to say, and then decide what to do next Tuesday. There's a couple options that you've got, just based on what I'm hearing.
I mean, I would feel more comfortable if we rescinded it, let them do their legwork, and the fact that the developers come back at 8.5 with some pushback, he's found some money somewhere, or he's found some way to take some of the pressure off of us as a school system, and potentially building our reserves up through the next few years, which we're struggling to do anyway. And
Yeah, and all I'm saying is, that deal no longer exists. Let's get out of that resolution. If y'all wanna do another resolution next Tuesday, fine. We'll
But
look
then
at
why
the
not
plan.
wait till next Tuesday?
Because this
I
resolution
say we wait till
plan
next.
But there
doesn't
were-
exist anymore.
But there were several conversations with board members here that have said, we're gonna do it, and then if the county is not involved, it's a dead deal, it goes away, nothing happens, and I think even Rob had mentioned that it was his understanding that if the county was not involved, that the developer was not moving forward. That's not the case at this point. So a lot of the information we've been getting is changing, and the goalpost is moving. And therefore, I'd just like us to be better advocates for our own interest in this and covering our financial obligations. When, I just wanna hold the developer accountable. It has nothing to do with the city of Cedartown development or anything. I just wanna make sure that we're not throwing in money for this developer's profit. Because we've opened that can of worms then for future development, the next development. And if this developer walks and in 2 years somebody comes in and says, I'm gonna do this development without a TAD, it's a win-win for all of us. There's gonna be more development in this county. It's coming. What happens if we decide to do this? And here again, it may be that there's a majority vote that says, I'm comfortable with the new plan. But I'm like Jeff, a decision was made, in my opinion, in haste because we did not discuss any of those terms in January. And now we're back to 5 months later, 4 months later, and we still, this is the first time we've had a discussion about this, and the terms have changed with the county deciding not to. I would like to see us, and I would like to make a motion that we rescind it, let the city come back with some hopefully more solid terms that are not just guesses, that we could decide something on. There's just a
So you
lot
wanna
of
make a
unknowns.
motion that we amend the agenda tonight and not wait until next Tuesday night? Is that what you're saying?
I amend the agenda to rescind the resolution as based off of the original terms with all parties included.
Okay, so you're making that motion to amend the agenda
I second it.
to item E, is that correct? Move it to item E, to rescind the current TAD resolution. Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Williams and a second by Mr. Hawkins. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of rescinding the motion we currently have? And tonight,
I'm sorry.
Actually, let's-
Amending.
You're amending the agenda.
amending the agenda
Right.
to rescind the current
To add it.
at this time. But, I mean, we're adding it to item E, but the motion is to rescind the
If I'm
current
not mistaken,
resolution.
you've got to
Got to amend
pass
the
to,
agenda first.
pass
Right.
to amend the
That's,
agenda.
yeah, that's what I'm, but that's how we want it worded, to rescind this.
Yes.
Current, okay. Okay, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor of amending the agenda to add action item E to rescind the current TAD resolution. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, all in favor, all against amending the agenda, please raise your hand. Okay, and tell me, Rita, what your vote is?
I'm against it, adding it to the amendment to adding that to our agenda tonight.
Okay, 4 against, adding it to the agenda has failed. Okay, the next action item is gym floors. Mr. Superintendent.
Okay, I recommend, the board approve the screening of the gym floors with game day floors in the amount of $27,163.50. We do this every year to, the high schools and the middle schools, and we're also adding, if I'm correct, we're adding Van Wert and Youngs Grove because of their floors this year, correct?
Correct. We do them every other year.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of,
So this is done every other year?
No, this is, the high school and middle schools are done every year. And then I think last year we may have skipped the elementary schools, just trying to save some money, but, wear and tear on the others, it needs to be done annually.
Is that as a result of continued use like PE classes and stuff and?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the middle school and
These
high,
never sleep, those campuses never sleep.
middle and high get more usage on their floors than the elementary does.
What is screening? I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with the term.
It is, more or less putting a pad on a buffer and taking the finish off, roughing it up, and then overcoating it with a new surface.
Okay, resurfacing. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
any other discussion or questions? Did you say Van Wert and?
It's gonna be both middles, both highs, Van Wert and Youngs Grove, because they have actual wood gym floors.
Okay, all right, we need a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation to refinish the gym floors. Mr. Morgan, and a second, Ms. Mays. All in favor of the gym floors, say aye.
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 Okay. Okay. All right, the next item of business is the summer floor waxing supplies.
Yes, I recommend the board approve the summer floor waxing supplies from SRP Company in the amount of $51,012.80. This is something that we purchase every year, and I look back at the price from last year, and it was almost this much what we did last year, but and then Jeff reminded me that a few years back when we hired out to get the waxing done, it was $201,000. So we're doing it ourselves, so the amount of supplies is $51,012.80.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for the summer floor waxing supplies. Is there any discussion or questions on supplies?
Same process as you did last year, using our employees, students,
I'm sorry, say it again.
using our students to help,
Yes, sir, same thing, yes, sir.
and that went good last year?
Yes, sir. Actually, we're using those students, we're letting them go through the employment agency so that they get paid every week, and it just has streamlined that situation, so, but yes, we are doing the same thing.
Good deal.
Okay, all in favor? I have a motion and a second to accept the summer floor waxing supply recommendation.
So moved.
Mr. Madden and Mr. Morgan, all in favor?
Aye.
That's all. Okay, the next item of business, Mr. Superintendent, was the fire department access at Van Wert Elementary School.
Yes, they reached out to Jeff about, because the dirt that's over there where they're going to build that fire department at over at Van Wert, it was basically just dirt that was brought out of, when they dug out for Van Wert. And I'm gonna let Mr. Little kinda explain what they're going to do with this. They wanna tie in to the sewage system that we have back there.
Yes, sir. Assuming that Atlanta Highway in front runs north and south, we have a property line on the south side of the property that runs due east and west. And this is a corner where this is the piece of property that we gave them to build a fire station on. and they're wanting to just run down that property line, go due east to the back of our campus to where our sewer, main is, tie on to it, and then also tie into the water supply back there. And, it's not on our meter, but they do wanna use the sewer and do, to get them sewer for their property. And they're not crossing any of our utilities. There should be no problem with doing what they wanna do. And, they were talking about, coming across our property, going to Springer Road, and that's, I would not be in here recommending that. If we're gonna have to give them access to sewer, we need to go the back way, like we're talking about.
So that wouldn't have any easements or egress issues as far as where that location would be for future development or anything?
No, sir, it's due right down the property line, our property line, and the next property owner. So no, sir, there should be no problems there.
Is there any issues in regards to when they tap in on the sewer side of things? I know you already said they're gonna have their own water meter and everything.
Yes, sir.
But when they tie into are you saying they're tying into our existing sewer line that goes into then the city sewer line? Or
Yes, sir, they're going into the manhole that's behind the, campus back there, where our sewer goes into this manhole, and then it turns and goes to Springer Road, and they're gonna tie in right there in that manhole.
Okay, that's not gonna impact anything of ours than what we had in capacities or anything like that
No,
for
sir,
fan
I
work?
don't think so.
Jeff, is it gonna go across, I may have misunderstood, so it's gonna go, like you said, down the line of the property that we gave them, which is kinda in the front, right? And then is it gonna go across some other property, like school property, to get to the back, or?
It's going across our property to get to the back. It's going across school property to get to the back, to the
gonna go
manhole
right
back
down.
there.
Like the highway's here, it's gonna go right down the property line to the very back there.
But it's still gonna be on us though, right? I mean, what
Sorry?
they're asking for is, it's basically they're asking for a utility easement, I guess, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Troy ought to let me draw, I mean, y'all can approve it subject to me drawing something up, but I think we ought to draw something up just to be a little more specific. Have they asked us to sign anything or given us anything to sign, or they just?
They're
asking
waiting
us
here
to-
much.
Okay.
I talked to them today, they said that just as soon as we can get it approved, if we'll let them do that, they'll probably be starting over there in the next few days. They said they've already got the building ordered, but they'd go ahead and start running this line down through there, so.
But y'all can certainly approve it, I guess, as discussed. I guess my thought would be, we'd rather have give them a written easement, that provides us some protection, spells out kind of what everybody's obligations are, and I can get that done. Jeff, I can get with you.
Yes, sir.
probably
I have the
tomorrow.
civil plans for that, and we can really do a good description, to get that, make crystal clear.
Okay, I can just get with you after the meeting.
Okay.
That's probably a motion, you need that as a motion then, don't you?
Yeah, I recommend the board approve the Polk County Fire Department access to sewage system at Van Wert under the stipulation with Rob writing up an agreement on it.
Do I hear a motion and a second that we accept that, Mr. Madden and Ms. Mays? All in favor? All. Okay, and next, Mr. Superintendent, the 2026-2027 salary scale.
Yeah, I've given you the salary scales. These are no different than what we have this year. We just have to adopt them each year, and we haven't made any changes to them whatsoever. But I recommend the board approve the 26-27 salary scale as presented.
Do I hear a motion and a second that we accept the salary schedule? Ms. Mays and, Mr. Morgan, all in favor? Okay. All right, the next item of business is executive session. Is there a need for executive session?
There is for personnel legal.
Do I hear a motion and a second that we move to executive session? Mr. Morgan and Ms. Mays, all in favor? Okay, we are now in executive session. Do I hear a motion and a second that we come out of executive session? Ms. Mays and Mr. Morgan. Okay, all in favor?
Aye, aye.
That was it. All right, next, personnel.
Yes, I recommend the board approve personnel actions as presented. pending completion of a criminal background check and release from previous school systems.
Do I hear a motion and a second that we approve personnel as listed? Mr. Madden, Ms. Mays, all in favor? Next, future meetings.
Yes, we will have our work session next Tuesday, May the 5th at 4 p.m. At 3 p.m., we'll be having a budget committee meeting.
Okay. All right, do I hear a motion and a second that we adjourn? Mr. Madden and Ms. Mays, all in favor? Aye.